Kia ora mai whānau. I feel like I say this every episode, don't I? But you're definitely in for a treat this one here. I know a long time people have been waiting for us to connect. And after a bit of banter online in the DMs, having a laugh, we finally managed to get together when her car broke down here in Taranaki. I say it was meant to happen so that we could have this kōrero. Of course, I'm talking about Pania Te Paiho, aka Wahine Toa Hunting, and we talk about pretty much everything. For those of you that follow her, you know she leaves no stone unturned. We talk about everything from her days of dealing and thieving and all that sort of carry on to now empowering mana wahine by leading them into the ngahere, bonding with Tāne and Papatua Nuku, and learning to empower themselves through exploring that world. And it gets crazy, whānau. There's a bit of mati te kōrero in there. There's all sorts of things about how we foresee the future, some of the craziness going on right now. It is all in this episode, so make sure you listen very, very closely. It is my pleasure to bring it to you, whānau. Mana is a birthright with Pania Te Paiho right here on Best Side. Age-old question, no hea koe, ko wai koe, where you from, where you raised?
Well, kia ora, my name's Pania Te Paiho. I'm Tūhoi in Kahununu. I was raised in the mean streets, no district. I was in the beautiful streets of Puriroa. Then I migrated. I sound like a bird. Well, I did. I moved to Palmy for a little while now. I reside in Vegas, old Te Aroa Whenua, and I love it up there, Rotorua. It's beautiful, and yeah, Māori all fun.
So tell me how that all, so growing up in Puriroa, obviously people probably got their assumptions there. Tell me what that was like for you.
For me, it's where I learned a lot of my life lessons that were mainly not brought on by the community, it was brought on by my initial whānau. I went through a lot of struggles, but I learned a lot of lessons there, and I don't take people might call some things that happened in my past tragedies, I take them as war wounds and battle scars that I can move forward. And people that have gone through this now, suicide stuff or being whāngaid out or having abusive parents and neglectful narcissistic parents and being, just kind of thrown out on the streets. I feel blessed to have gone through that and to learn from that, because when I go back into doing kaupapas for our people, that's where I go back to. I always find people at the top have all these solutions, but they've never been at the bottom. Do you know what I mean?
Hard out.
You can tell us what we need, but are you going to listen to what we're telling you we need?
Yeah.
And that's two different things.
And often we'll tell you what you need, and then you'll be like, oh, true, so you've tried or you've seen that work before.
So you know that, exactly. Because a lot of the policies, a lot of people that try and help, they're book smart, but their life dumb.
We're going to write that down. Book smart.
You can have a 20, 30 fucking million degrees and have lived the best life, not had any trauma, not had any life experience. And I'm not saying you can't help, but people that have walked that, healed from that, they are the best teachers and the best ones to know what they need, because you've sat in that dark space. You know what light needs to be turned on.
So then, in relation to your journey, and I obviously know there's going to be some things you definitely don't want to share, but you've spoken about there's things that you've learned that have helped you where you are today, and then you've spoken about how important it is to go through the wars in order to help and advise people on the war that we're all going through right now, all the different wars. So what were some of the wars or some of the battles that you're comfortable with sharing that you've been through, or things that you've learned from?
So many, World War I, Vietnam, my personal life. No, my personal things that I've been through is like my dad killing himself. So going in and my nephew and my niece killing himself, and a very special person to the whakapapa of Wahine Toa Hunting, Parikura. She was meant to be the next Wahine Toa hunter after me, and she took her life. And so those, just before she was going to start her own rōpū of Wahine Toa Hunting. So those keep me grounded to why I'm here and what I'm meant to be doing, and don't let the razzle dazzle of Wahine Toa Hunting and all the books and all that other crap means absolutely nothing. It's making sure that I'm still walking and talking it. You know what I mean? My mahi that I have to do is like the suicide march to Parliament. I had to do that because my nephew and niece took their lives. It always reconnects back to why I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing. And I have a big voice. And this is what it's here for. This is what it's here for, to be the voice with the voices. So I have to sit in these spaces, I have to continue to feel this mum-eyes, because everybody else is feeling this mum-eyes. It's very easy for me to go, oh, well, I'll just fuck off now, go do some TV, great. Well, who the fuck is that going to help? No one. Because, you can do the razzle-dazzle, but you still need to do the mahi. And when tragedies happen in my life all the time, it reconnects me back to what I'm actually supposed to be doing. It's like a reality check. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely gives me an idea and an understanding, and I think for listeners, watchers, whatever, about what you use or what you employ to keep you grounded.
Yeah, tragedy, it'll keep pulling me back. It'll keep pulling me back to be like, look, you can live your best life, you can do all this travel and all this stuff, but don't forget why you're here, Pania, because I died for a minute 26 seconds when I had my son through complications through the birth. I died, come back. Now, if I had died at that point of my life, I had learnt nothing. I was a complete idiot. I was a drug dealer. I don't know what the fuck I was up to. Me getting a second chance at life has really given me a smack in the face, because who the fuck gets that? Shit, Tupac don't even get that. Like, you know what I mean? It gave me a smack in the face to be like, wake up. And so now I take every day as a blessing. There's always a balance. And so when I walk my journey, it always stems back from that tomorrow's not promised, because you've already lost it once. Do you know?
Yeah. So then let's go to that, to you dying, because it is what it is. I was trying to think of another word for it.
I don't really talk about it. It's not something I tend to talk about.
Okay, well then, if you don't want to, we can stay this bit, but...
I can talk about the lessons that I learned from it.
For sure, I mean, that's the lane I was running. I wasn't going to go in on the actual experience, because...
Not fun.
Fuck that.
It wasn't great.
No, it was more like... It sounds like from what you're saying, and from your corridor from Real Talk the other day, that there was a different Pania before that happened.
Oh, hell yes. Hood girls doing hood things.
So elaborate on that. What changed and how and why?
My fucking attitude and my wake up. I was living at people's underestimation of myself. Quite happily. They thought I was a piece of shit, so I'll just turn up every day like a piece of shit. No one expected me to be.
So what does that
anything.
look like? What's a piece of shit look like?
Dealing, scrapping, stealing, anything you could think of that pieces of shit people would do, I was doing, because I felt like no one gave a shit. So what do I give a shit? If that moving forward, like. And so when I died, I was like, everyone has a purpose within their life. And if I had died, which I did, and came back, would I laugh at something funny?
Well, to be honest, it's probably a nervous laughter from you dealing with it.
About it. So it's just a little trick.
Yeah.
Is that if I had died in that life, it just woke me up. I achieved nothing. I achieved nothing from what I was to do here. And so I would have died, and what was my legacy? That's your fucking legacy. And my legacy is not about me. My legacy now of Wahine Toa Hunting and the tino rangatiratanga mana motohake aspect of it is the woman that I've gone on to teach to hunt, teach their kids to, and it's not the hunting, it's the reconnection back to the whenua, that and the mana motohake aspect of it. That is what I want my legacy to be. Not for me, but for their own kids.
Yeah. So it's like the passing of that baton and kind of the change you can make, the ripple effects of the money that you're doing.
I made no ripple effects apart from people owed me money for ticks. Oh, well, no, scared. Well done, pass. Now they're crossing the road when they see me. Cool.
So they're like, sweet, don't have to owe that anymore.
Yeah, they're like, well, you're a changed woman, you don't need your $40. And I'm like, well, I do, but whatever.
The last couple of days stranded there, you fully did.
I have needed it. I will move past it. But so this second chapter of my life, I just call it this is my second go. Like, you better live it like you're gonna die tomorrow. Because just like that day, I didn't know I was going to die that day. And just like tomorrow, I could die on the way home tomorrow. So every single day, in some form, I have to make a count. Whether it be interviews talking about Māori, whether it be real talks, whether it be doing kaupapa, whether it be doing hikois, anything with Wahine Toa Hunting. Like every single day, in some aspect, even if it's replying to people on my inbox, just trying to, every single day, throwing to people. Just throwing to people. And sometimes I don't fucking feel like throwing pebbles. Sometimes I just want to throw a box back. But it's hard, but I know that if I miss 2 or 3 days of not throwing pebbles, there's 2 or 3 days that I could have helped someone or saved someone or done something. What I'm fucking here for. What if I die on Wednesday?
I'm interested to know then, how do you deal with, because like everyone needs to fill their cup and everyone needs to chill the fuck out. And it sounds like you go full hundy and that you don't allow yourself that at times. How do you balance that out? Or do you not? Do you just go full hundy and fucking run yourself to the ground?
Well, I'm very lucky where I stay in Te Aroa. So I live up the road from Waitapu, which is a hot waterfall in the middle of the bush. So me and my kids will go there nearly every day and sit in it, because my kids are my grounding, and they will give me a mana slap if I need it. And I love it, they will be like, look,
a mana slap,
they will
like
give me a mana slap and be like, oi, wake up, and they will really keep me grounded. But it's going to that place and sitting in that water and just just whakanoa really, and just taking all that energy back that I do lose through these kaupapa. Because I do have a tendency to run myself into the ground. My bro told me I've got kaupapa ADHD, and I was like, not wrong.
So define that, because I feel like a lot of whānau have that, and I think I know what you mean, but for listeners.
So initially, Wahine Toa Hunting was started for me to teach women how to hunt, and to give them a greater sense of mana motuhake, tino rangitanga, and refining their mana, because you always have your mana, sometimes you just gotta remember your bad bitch.
Yep.
But then what I realised was I'm having to do this and teach past knowledge onto them that they would have learnt before colonisation. So then I started looking at everything colonisation has done to our people, our suicide rates, our women. Māori, one of the most incarcerated women in the, like, per capita in the whole of the fucking world. Our children are getting stolen. Our language was stolen. Our tikanga was stolen, our tuhonga was suppressed, and this all has massive repercussions in our day-to-day lives. We've got whānau who, they are tangata whenua, disconnected, so they're sleeping in cars. Where's their pās? Where's their people? Where is that community? Like, that stuff, and that's the grassroots shit that I can't get away from, because once you're open to the damage that wow.
You're pumped, you're excited, you're getting tongue-tied, it's me. Colonisation,
thank you very much, has done to our people. You can't go back to sleep in it. And once you start making footsteps in it and trying to heal it, you can't stop. You're on the path. You just got to keep going.
Fuck, man, it honestly speaks volumes to me, because, like, I'll admit, it's only really the last kind of 5 years, maybe not even that I've started, I want to say contributing, but I don't want to sound whakahihi or whatever.
No.
But before that, I was just looking after me, you know, making sure I was sweet.
And this is Māoridom. We are about we, never me. So that's, do you know what I recommend? Like, this is a movie that I watched back in my former life. It's Crooked Earth, right? So I watched it as a colonialised, urbanised person, Māori, and I thought Timawera Morrison was the good guy. I thought he was the good guy coming in and saving and being like da-da-da, and I thought the other bro fighting for Tino Rangatiratanga was the other gay one. What an idiot. I watched it recently and I was like really appalled on my older view of that movie, because now I see the bro who's riding around trying to get that land back, trying to do what he needed to do to keep the tangata whenua connected to the whenua, get the whenua for them. Like, I had a completely different view of that movie, so I advise you, go and watch Crooked Earth and tell me what side of the fence you sit on. If you sit on the side that Timawera Morrison's actually come in as this big saviour from the army, is versus the grassroots guy just trying to save his pa Māoridom, it'll tell you how colonialised you are. Really, truthfully. Mine
was as well, like speaking of movies and I guess like pop culture and things, a measurement that I took is I grew up always thinking that Malcolm X was the bad guy in that whole hikoi of America.
Yeah.
And so then, and I never really clicked that, and I was kind of pitched, and I know that it was, now that I'm older, I realise that was kind of intentional.
That was on purpose.
Yeah, people told me that on purpose, or it was portrayed to me on purpose. Yeah. So Martin was the good guy and Malcolm was the bad guy, but I understand now, being older, that the two work hand in hand. You can only be, like, everyone needs that cuzzy who's going to get a bit gangster when shit hits the fan. But everyone also needs that cuzzy who's great with their Pākehā voice or whatever on the phone.
Absolutely.
And it's not an either or.
Absolutely.
And
like, a lot of the stuff that I do, because I'm very, I don't like the word, the word hoary. I don't like because it's got a bad connotation, but I do, because you can take it back. So when you move in spaces and you, like, people go, oh, you need to speak a certain way because they're not going to take you seriously. It's like, my brother taught me, is like, and I was like, but I don't want to change who I am. It's like, but there's certain places you have to be better at them at their game and then win the game, because you're not going to win it like that. And it really made me sit back and think, like, I think you're right. There's times and spaces to use the Pākehā voice, that kind of energy, and there's other times where it's like, you just keep it.
And I think a lot of us, like, I've definitely seen it, like, amongst friends and whānau and stuff, you kind of turn on each other, right, at times, like, oh, you're being too fake, or you're being too hoary, But it's an and, like, you can use both.
Put them both in your pocket. Be good or be good at it.
That's something you love saying, right?
Yeah, I do, because you go, like, honestly, I love that, but that is something that I've learned very hard and fast moving within all these circles. I like to be underestimated, so the bar's low, so when I go to it, like, I'll tell you a story of I've gone back to my theme under.
No, all good.
Yeah, no. So I did a cooking show for, I don't know, it was Māori TV. I don't know what it was for. And the lady turned up, she didn't know anything about anything, and she judged me straight away. She was just very rude to me, condescending to me, and all of that kind of stuff. No, but I love that shit. Do it.
You sound like you're kind of accustomed to it.
I'm so used to this shit. Remember, I grew up in the hood. I was farm laid out. Like, I'm used to people thinking I'm going to be nothing, and I used to live up to it. But now I love it because they really think I'm here. So anyway, we did this episode, and at the end of it, fuck it. So she saw, because I was awarded New Zealand of the Year Hero Award, and she seen my medal sitting there, and she goes, "Whose is that?" Like I'd stolen it. I was like, "Well, I just did a burg on Tuesday." No. I was like, "No, that's mine." And she was like, "Well, how the hell did you get this?" And I was like, I don't know, hero-y things. I don't know what to say. And then she looked to the right, and there was a patu, and it had, so I used to be a firefighter, it had my firefighting, like, pin on it and stuff. And she was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And I was like, yeah, I was a firefighter. And then she's like, well, yeah, okay. And then she goes, well, what are you doing next week? Hey, do you want to do some filming? And I said, no, not really, because I don't like this lady. She showed me all her hands. That's a beautiful thing about people that underestimate people. They will show you how condescending, how judgmental and everything they are once they think that you're not a worthy enough person. I don't fuck with people like that. I like people to come to this, like, just be nice to everybody all the time and show everybody equal respect. Whether they've come through SIFs, whether they've had the hardest, been through rehab, but they've come out the other side, whether they're a CEO, just treat them all exactly the same. Because that is a key thing for me. Treat the fucking waiter the same as a CEO who runs that cafe. Well done.
You must see some crack up stuff then.
I was going off on something and I forgot what I was going to say.
It's all right. Well, I'm confident we'll find it. I'm confident we'll come back. But it's funny hearing you talk about, being genuine and speaking to people as people, because you're moving on through a lot of circles at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So you must see a lot of
different things.
A lot of shit, right?
Yeah, I really do. And I love it because I love reading people. So I just, when people see someone at their lowest, like, I don't care who you sit with at the top, tell me who you sit with at the bottom. Tell me those stories about who you've walked with when you're walking with the broken. Show me those stories, because I've been with the most fucking famous people, straight up, bro. I can't believe some of the people that I've been put around. They are the most down-to-earth motherfuckers. Then there's some people that just own a restaurant or a bar, and they are the most rudest, arrogant, stuck-up bastards. And I'm like, what? Like, my mind can't, it is what it is.
Yeah, I could go in on that too, but it'll end up naming people, and I don't want to run that. I don't want to run that lane.
Yeah.
Man, there's a few things that you've brought up. I've been jotting down heaps of notes here. I love the mana slap. I've never heard that before.
Kids are good like that. Like, if I say something and it's just not on, like especially my oldest daughter, she's like, no. And that's what I love about her, because most people are like, oh, she shouldn't talk like that. I'm like, no, she should, because if she can stand up to say something that's not right, and it's only when it's not right she'll call it out, like, that's not right. I'm like, why the hell would I tell her don't do that?
Yeah.
Always question things that aren't right and shut them down if you can. Absolutely.
Do you think it'll be different if you had an older boy who did that?
I do have, they all do.
Yeah, but do people talk about him doing that?
Oh yeah, no. No one's actually pulled it up, but he's quieter.
Yeah.
My older daughter's not.
Because I can't help but wonder, is that like a thing of how, like, our women try and get put into this box of being nice and, paying attention. Yeah, and being a lady, that shit.
She can't really help it, I'm her mum. Poor girl.
But yeah, I just can't help but wonder if people say that particularly about your daughter, but not so much about your son, because it's kind of expected that she, or that woman in general, don't.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like was the hunting world before. Like, it was very weird, paint posing your bra off rifles and all that kind of. That was not on the grassroots, not on the people that were going for hunts, not females going for hunts, but that was the image that was projected. So if you look back about 5 years, you'll see just chicks in bikinis holding rifles and all that kind of shit. And I mean, they still make pink stuff for us hundies. Like, stop it. Fucking stop that shit. There is also, there is very hearty that gender buzz going on in the hunting, but it's chilled out the last few years, because I'll call it out.
Tell me how that all started, because you've said yourself multiple times that you're not a bush chick, or whatever you want to call it. Fuck, I don't even know what to word it. But you that's not like it's originally not your home, I guess, or where you come from. So how did that kick off, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, I was very urbanised and I grew up very hood, very, very hood. And I was disconnected from my tūranga waiwai, all of that. And so my ex, he was a hunter, and they'd go hunting and they'd come back, and I saw how therapeutic it was for him, but also I saw him filling our freezers. And it was like a switch, like, I want to come. He was like, oh yeah, coming. So then I came and then I learned, and then I just took it all on. And then it was the reconnection back to the whenua and to the bush. That was the real key for me. Like, if I don't go in the bush now, after about a week, I start to feel real mum-eyes, and I start to feel kind of sick, and I can feel depression creeping in. Or if I'm having depression, because I am prone to depression, if I go into the bush for even for a few hours, that's just the whole Māori of the bush. Just, it really does heal me and center me. And that's a big thing within our women, is depression. A lot of our women are on pills and shit, and counselling and stuff. Taking you into the bush is going to do the same thing a lot of the time. And it's just such a needed thing that we're not doing. And I know for a fact that it works. And I've seen it. The women I've taken through, once they get connected back to the bush, they want to go deeper into their whakapapa, and it's just such a beautiful transition. And it's just so healing, and I feel so honoured to see some of these women I've taken. It's just insane, the stuff they've gone on to do, which they never would have done before the reconnection. And I'm pretty blessed to watch them.
So have you got any sort of, because you've mentioned things like SIFs and MSD and all that sort of stuff, have you done social work yourself?
Well, I went into the youth prison, so I was like, right, what am I going to do? I need to fucking be helping our people, because I can see that how this is helping, so this needs to be for our kids. I went into the youth jail, and I went in there and talked to them.
How long ago was this?
About 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and I was like, fuck, this is my story. Because the main thing with these kids these days is that they, like I said, I lived up to my underestimation. I never saw a future past that. Was it? My story's already laid out. Fuck it. Who gives a shit? No one gives a shit. There's no one that's been through this that come out the other side and now they're doing this, apart from sports stars. And I'm not a sports star. Cardio hurts my feelings. It's a swear word. So going into there and telling them what I used to do, where I came from, and then saying, but now this is what's happening. The only difference was the reconnection back to the whenua. Then I took so there was one girl there, I took her out, reconnected her back, got her hunter, she smashed a big stag, and then she was the only one out of all those girls in that room that didn't go back on to reoffend and go back and get locked back up. It's not a coincidence, it's reconnection. Yeah.
So let's go in on that then, because we've danced around it, and I was going to hold off for a bit and get into it later, but we fucking might as well, we're there. Because we've said words like disconnection, taken away, stripped, all that sort of stuff.
Colonialised.
Yeah, so let's go in on that a little bit. When did, because I don't know, I can only speak for me, so I guess it wasn't like it was something that was always spoken about around me.
It was or wasn't?
It wasn't.
Yeah.
So I know that obviously when I look back, it probably was like, aunties and uncles probably had a laugh about stuff, or my dad and his brothers might have talked about things, but it wasn't like a word that was said all the time like we speak about it now.
It wasn't, because those last two generations, unless you had the beautiful privilege of growing around Tūhoe, like around Tamiiti and Chasdori, you weren't going to hear it, because those last two generations are kind of like, not all, and I won't say all because there are some hearty activists in there, but they're not, and I hate this word, but it's true, they're not woke like us. We see our trauma, we see where it's coming from. They were still quite asleep to it. We're the more woken generation, and that's such a fucking beautiful thing, but it means we've got a lot of work to do and a lot of doors to open, a lot of fucking doors to kick in for the next generation, because if you hadn't noticed, they are so much more connected to the environment, to fighting. You're talking about the Eugene? Yeah, the one underneath us. I don't know what they call it. Yeah. Them. So they are so much more. I've lost track of what fucking letter we're up to now. Yeah, X, Y, Z. They're like my children and their friends and that whole generation. We just do not give them enough fucking credit. We sit there and go, oh, they're moping, whining, this, that, and the other. No, they're fucking not. They're saying shit that we would have just taken. They're talking about, I'm not going to take that, and it's not being weak, that's actually being strong, so I'm not going to do that, and it's not right. And that for me, I have a lot of respect for that generation coming up. But our level right now, we have a fucking lot of mahi to do, to open doors so they don't have to open it. So my daughter doesn't have to open it, I'll kick it open. And I'm good at that, I used to do burgs. Just don't use the window. We might bring that up later too. Let's not. So then with, it's fucking quite reductive, but undoing colonisation,
Where are
Healing trauma of colonisation.
There we go. Okay, healing the trauma of colonisation. Where are some places we can start?
So for me, I've always said it starts in Parliament, but never in Parliament. Māori have the treaty and he whakaputanga for exactly this reason. We were never meant to be under the crown. We are only ever meant to be beside it. And with the rise of the wards, the rise of the healthcare, Māori healthcare, the role, the movement coming of the, I wouldn't say CIS, but the Māori...
The Health Authority,
all of that right now is exactly where we are, where we need to be right now. We are forming beside. Because under the crown, look what it's done to us. Our statistics for every, like, people say the system's broken. No, it's not. It's doing exactly what it's fucking meant to do. It's meant to keep us at the fucking bottom. So why do we stay under the system? So the separate system, but that is still united, because we are partners in treaty. We are not, Māori do not want to be, superior. We don't want Māori's, what's it called? Supremacy. We don't want Māori supremacy. We want Māori equality. And that fears a lot of people because they see it as, well, like they want supremacy. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's equal.
And when you look, like, if you look very small, like if you look at fucking, like if you make it say a decade, then yeah, okay, it might look like special treatment having a separate health authority. If you look at a 10-year timeline, but that's a speck on history. When you widen that scope and see what's actually gone down, that's when you see that it's not fucking special treatment at all. Exactly.
It's the least you can fucking do. It's the least you can fucking do and come to the table and allow us, which I hate that. No. Like, and the main thing that I'm also seeing that's kind of kicked off lately, well, it's always been there, but it's come really full force in the last 6 months, is the hate towards Māori through social fucking media. I'm seeing shit like, I'll fucking read something on my phone. I just screenshot it, actually. Give me a minute.
Yeah, no rush. You're right, it is fucking out the gate. Like, I'm a part of a few conversations and chat groups or whatever. I don't want to speak to it too much because I don't want to give energy to those fucking assholes, but there's a lot of things going on, right? Yeah.
So Lee Williams, right? This is the mate, truthfully, on a really serious note here. If anybody saw what happened with the mosque shootings in Christchurch, there was one fucking lunatic moving on racist fucking lunatic circles, spouting hate crime. These people do not move by themselves, they move in circles. So Lee will have a circle. People like that go and shoot up mosques. People like that go and shoot up kohangas. People like that go and shoot up marais. They throw flames into an already fucking burning pit of hate. And it's burning within New Zealand. Like today I just read, my advice is you go get an A15, buy some more ammo because you'll need it once the civil war starts. It's on the horizon, scary times. They want to fight, they're so scared. And people like him need to be sent back. So where's he going? The UK.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be allowed to come here and spout that because we don't want another Christchurch. We don't want our kohangas getting shut up, sprayed up. Is that what it's going to take for them to really look at people like him and go, he's a fucking threat? He is a fucking terrorist.
Yeah.
He's a verbal terrorist lighting fires that could take down a kohanga. And when that happens, what? We're going to go, oh, we should have done something about it. No, we need to fucking do something about him now. Instead of just sitting around making him lose his job, off you go, mate, back to wherever the fuck you came from with that fucking rhetoric, because it's not helping. It's going to hurt a lot of people.
I watched, I'm quite lucky that I've only found out about him through this whole debacle. I actually didn't know about him for like the last 2 or 3 years. And it's quite fucking out of it to think he's had a YouTube channel going for like 2 years, right?
Why has it not been shut down? Why has he not been investigated? These are hate crimes. The corridor he is spitting is just little flickery flames, just waiting to hit a piece of dynamite before it fucking blows up and Māori people will get killed. Is this not a problem to anybody else apart from to us? Is this not a threat? Everyone can fucking see it. So why are we allowing him to keep having a YouTube channel? Why do we allow him to still be in this country? He's not... you know what I mean? You get it? Like,
yeah.
The fuck, bro?
So what responsibility do you think, like, because this stuff's starting to get spoken about in the House of Representatives, Parliament. What responsibility do you think they've got to it? Anything? Or?
Absolutely. There needs to be a fucking differential point where hate speech is not free speech. Shut down the hate speech before it fucking lights dynamite.
How do you differentiate the two?
Is it hate speech? It's very clear. What's his name? Trevor Miller, the one that is the Speaker in Parliament. Oh, that's not racist. The policy's racist. Well, who the fuck wrote the policy? A racist person. You get what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Those kind of things, that's not racist. Call a fucking racist spade a spade. Don't dance around it like it's going to blow up even bigger. It's blowing up behind the scenes and it's going to blow up so massive before it's out of control. it is up to people like him to let Rawiri have a fucking voice for us. And not sit there and go, if fucking Judith Coloniser's been a coloniser, call her out. I'd happily love to talk to her and just be like, what are you doing? I'm more concerned about her husband. Like, I know he's Samoan, and I'm like, have you been kidnapped? He's Samoan.
No, I'm just taking the first.
Oh, no, you can ask her, because she'll tell you.
That's
I'm more concerned, like, have you been kidnapped by the National Party? Like, just blink a couple of times and just let us know if you need to come get you. Because I'm like, are you just
Get Out movie.
Yeah, hard. That's exactly right.
I seen as well, like, she had an interview with the boys APN Church.
Did she?
She like had an interview with them, and it was actually pretty sweet. But then at the end, she goes, it just cracks me up because of the whole my husband's Samoan thing, and then she goes, you know, I'm Joseph Parker's auntie, like, you know. So it was a mean kōrero, but then she kind of ruined it at the end by trying to be like, you know, I've got some Samoan.
I know some brown people.
Yeah.
I know a lot of.
And then it was funny at the end of the kōrero, he even said, he goes, it was cool, like, until that happened. And I was like, oh, my bro. And because he's only a young cat. And so they didn't know too much about politics. That was his introduction to politics.
Oh, wow. Wow. It's almost like, you know, when you're one of your mum's mates who's got like a brown husband around kids, and she says something racist, she goes, oh, but I'm not racist because my kids are married. You're like, no, you can still totally be racist. Absolutely. That doesn't give you a pass.
I've got friends that are brown.
I know lots of brown people in the office. I don't talk to them, they're annoying, but you know, no, they're there. They're always talking about the treaty. God, get over it. Yeah, those kind of that's what Judith is.
You need to be doing skits. I know you've been talking to Tim and Riggs about doing skits and shit.
I used to do skits back in the day, but then I was like, I'll pick a lane, pants. I want to be in politics, but not the way it's set up right now. I'm going to wait because I know there's a big movement coming, so I'll wait for that. I can feel it.
Interesting. A lot of people wouldn't think that, eh?
I know, because they're like, I thought you were a rapper or something.
Thought you were a rapper we thought you were a hunting rapper. What do you mean that you want to be in politics?
I'm running out of shit to do. I told you about Kaupapa PhD.
Yeah. I need to write that down. I've never heard that before, but it makes total sense.
But yeah, I have always aspired to be a politician. And just not in the framework that it's set now, because like I said, it don't work for me and don't work for our people, so I'm not doing any of that shit. I'll heal it and we'll jump on the other
When
side.
did that start, do you think?
My whole life. I've always wanted to see, when you were talking about Malcolm X.
Even old Pania?
Yeah, even old Pania. She was a bit more, how do you work the system? Get out PDLs. No.
Hey, and?
Well, yeah, so...
Those politicians are working the fucking system right now.
I know, a lot of them are ripping them off. And that's the thing, we just look at poor people ripping people off. Oh, yes, punish the poor, war on the poor. What about the rich people?
Oh, but the whole thing with, you know, people being dull bludgers, and I'm using quotation hands, but it's okay to be using tax loopholes.
Get $100,000 loophole to pay for your boat or your kids' private schools,
fucks me off,
or pay for a whole private police investigation team. I think they're called a red team or a blue team. That you send them in on. We can talk about this later off here. I don't want to go into missing. No, there's a lot that goes on in there. But when you're in that system, you can't call it out. This is why it's so important for a separate but alongside Māori system, because the corruption in there that I've seen myself, and I know a lot of politicians that I've moved in that circle as well. The stuff that I've seen is fucking horrendous. But those people that do it are at the top, and they won't get called out, because if you get called out, you're gonna go missing. This is real talk stuff. Really seriously. This is why it is so important for the rise of Māoridom to become equal with the crown, because there is just so much corruption there, and it's some scary shit.
So go back to when you wanting to get into politics, when, like you said, forever, even like young pans, when was the first time you remember thinking that could be a good thing to do?
So for me, I've always had this, like, I wouldn't say weird level of empathy. I've always had a heightened level of empathy for people, and Aboriginals and African Americans. I've always had this heightened like connection with them through their struggle, which is kind of out of it, because I didn't really even see how I couldn't understand how much I was struggling as a Māori woman was actually the same as them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I was a kid growing up and I'd watch all the movies about them and all these struggles, and I would just think, fuck, it's all come down from a politician line. Politicians could change this. Their councils could change this, but they're not. And that just always kind of stuck in my mind, that if I was to get in there, you can do good. I know you make a lot of money in politics, That's the fucking problem. Cap it at 100 grand. See who's still willing to work in there. Take away the fucking free rides, the free flights, all that shit. And the people that actually want to be there to help the people that need to be in there will be in there. And it'll take all these other money hungry people. Like, I think I was told Simon, who are you making 300 grand a year? What the fuck are you making 300 grand a year for, mate? Fucking sell it. What have you done for your people? Sold us down the river. Paid the fuck pub card whenever it suits him. Doesn't he though?
So...
Oh, just one thing.
Yeah.
This is just a little keynote.
Yeah.
So I don't care about followers. I like the numbers, but I kind of buzzed out the other day because when I came into it, I saw how much damage Simon's mouth does, and him and Benefit. What's her name?
Paula.
Those two. How much fucking hurt they were doing to our people and selling us out all the time. So I had this thing of like, I don't care about like follower numbers, but I just want to do as much good as I can to have more followers than Simon Bridges. And then I achieved that last week.
Yeah. But it's like
stupid, I know.
No. It's not necessarily about the followers or the numbers. It's just, I guess, I don't want to say even, it's not even really about platform, but it's just having a megaphone to be able to yell the volume that he yells. You know?
Exactly. Be the voice for the voiceless, but silence the ones that are using it for bad.
Because I battled, and I don't know if I've shared this with a couple of mates, but fuck, I battled when the Māori Awards was getting voted in. I was in Parliament for those readings.
Mate.
And fuck, man, like some of the shit that he was saying, it was hard not to walk down there and throw hands.
Dick, such a dick. Like, I just... Every time I see him, like if I was in Parliament, because I've been there a couple of times, I just see him. I sort of be like, bro, I just want an ankle tap into a gorse bush, but you can't because it's physical assault. But I just like want to like be like, just if you have no money, if you had nothing, like you'd have to go back to your tūranga waiwai and connect, because his Māoridom and his rejection of his Māoridom, apart from when he wants to play that card. And his greed, his personal greed, has really corrupted him. And it's a sad thing to see one of our people who could make so much difference for us at that level turn their back on us and spit in our faces and sell us down the river. And that's what he's done.
Do you know much about him, like where he's from? I don't, so that's all I'm asking.
No, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't think he does.
I just know he's from Tauranga, but that's all. I better talk before you go in.
Go have a little visit to Makatū,
Hard.
Get your ears clapped.
So because we've talked about like mental health stuff quite a lot through our kōrero. Obviously that's pretty important and pretty prevalent, and also a byproduct or a result, not a byproduct, a direct result of colonisation. So were you made acutely aware of that area? Because a lot of people, like a lot of kids and even a lot of people our age, don't even think about it still, even though it's everywhere and it's on this billboard, it's through the media and stuff, hard out now because we're at a point where it's pretty undeniable. But once upon a time, I know in my life there's once upon a time when I didn't really even think about it, but now you can't think about it. Has it always been there for you though?
When I was 13, my dad killed himself. When you walk in grief that has been dealt by the hands of depression, you never forget what that feels like. You never forget that sting, and you would never wish it on anybody else. And then when he died, it triggered my own depression, and my mum being so just, my mum, and then me having to go to the
Were they still together when you did?
No, they had split. So it was just that whole, it's a kickstarter of something that sting is still in me, but it's in me for a reason. It used to be pain, but now it's passion, and it's turned it to just keep helping, keep doing what you can do, and just keep talking to people about it, pull it out of them, because that's the hardest thing. Because when you're in depression, because when I go into depression, I just want to lock myself in the room, just like cry about it, and so what? No, and that's the worst thing you can do, because then you're just going to spiral. Just take someone to be like, bro, what are you up to? What are we up to, cuz? You're right, and so you can talk about it. Yeah, it's a very dark subject, but it needs to continually be talked about. Yeah. How's
the talking going to help?
It draws you out of your self-induced bubble that you're going deeper, deeper, deeper. It's like the hand that just kind of goes, hey, I'm still here. Even if you just don't want to go see your mates, or them come over, you don't want to see them. It's knowing that they're there for you, and that you're not an annoyance. That they're still your bros, because you're in your head, your anxiety and your depression is telling you all this absolute bullshit. It's like Judith Collins in your ear. talking absolute shit, you know? And you're just like, fuck up, babe. But, you know, you can actually tell you, and it's fighting it all the time, and it's tiring. That's why you get so tired when you get depressed, you're fighting it all the time. So when someone says, hey, bro, I know you're going through a hard time, I love you, you're strong, and even if you don't feel strong, we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you the next day, and we'll see you the next day. It just keeps you going that little bit. Just that person checking up on you. Yeah.
So I want to ask them, because like I'm probably I'm not going to say the, but I'm probably one of the people in my crew who, like, I'm the dude who's annoyingly positive.
Yeah,
like my mates are like, bro, can you just fuck up and be sad? You know, like, not, they don't actually say it like that, but like, I've had mates say to me, bro, I'm over your positive shit, you know, and it's funny, we laugh about it. So, like, is there, like, can you kind of be too positive? I guess,
it can be draining on the other side, because you think, fuck, he's so up there with his energy, and my energy's so down there, because everything we do, especially according like that, is a mirror. So you're just mirroring back to how they feel, how dark they feel, because they see how bright you feel. So it feels unreachable for them. Yeah, it feels unreachable for them.
So it's like a reminder of where they're not at right now.
Yeah, where they're not. Yeah.
Good to know, because I know there's a lot of, because I mean, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people I've having conversations with, they're like, bro, you know, I've tried this, I've tried that, and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you other than that's not what they really need right now. Like, if it hasn't worked, don't blame you that you can't figure out the puzzle. Like, everyone's an individual and everyone's different. They need different things at different times.
Exactly.
If you're not getting through, then leave it for someone else who can, or talk to someone else.
Counselling might help for someone. Medication might help for someone. Getting reconnected to the bush, back to their whānau, might help someone. We all move. We're all separate people. We're all separate entities with separate issues going on. Someone's depression might be caused from something. Someone else's depression is caused from something. So everybody has an individual view of it. But it's just being there for people. Not giving them, like, you can say, oh, here's a counsellor's number, or I've run someone for you if you think they're in that space, or all that kind of shit, or do you want to come to the bush? But it's just literally making sure that person knows that they're there and they're worthy, and letting them vent if they need to vent, and just no judgment.
I'll ask a selfish question, just because I'm interested to know, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but just, it's not often I'm in a space where someone who's directly affected by depression that I can talk to about this sort of stuff. So I want to ask, if you don't want to answer, don't answer. But a lot of people that I speak to that go through depression, they speak about that there's this overwhelming feeling that they're just an inconvenience to people. Yeah,
you do become that.
Can you talk about that a little bit, kind of just what occurs or what happens?
Like, for me especially, I think anyone that has some weird success, like, because I get to do all these amazing things, I have this huge imposter syndrome, because I still carry my inferiority complex from when I was a little kid. That's never going to really heal. It always feels like I'm going to get called out. If that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm about to start filming a Kaitiaki Tanga series with the BBC World News and Al Jazeera, and I've got a book deal with Penguin Publishing Houses, and I turned down all this other TV, and Women's Weekly wants to do a bloody feature and all this other shit, you know? And I just feel that is not my greatness. It feels you, and so when you, because people will be like, well, what have you got to be sad about? You've got to, it's like, depression is not sadness. Sadness is looking into your bank account and going, I've only got $3. Fuck, I want to buy a box. I've only got $3. Depression is looking at your $3 going, fuck, I want to kill myself. I can't pay my rent. I'm a fucking useless piece of shit. I've only got $3. Yes, I'm shit at budgeting. That's the difference. And yeah.
No,
you just get sucked into it, and everything, no matter how great your life is. People go, he had a great wife and great kids, and he was a successful rugby player. So fucking what? He probably has an imposter syndrome and still is broken in the inside. So it's working on that, because I still try to work on that, but there's major triggers that will trigger me, because I do a lot of work in the suicide realm. So it's something that I touch on for a little bit. I'll go do a hikoi, I'll go do what I need to do, go to space, but then I'll pull back off it for a few good months, so I'm not sitting in that energy, because it will drag me back down.
Yep. Yeah, like, I don't think I have been depressed. I don't think. I'm not a fucking clinical psychologist, so I don't know. But I definitely can relate to imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely some spaces that I'm like, who the fuck am I
to be doing
here right
this? Now? Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Like, how am I worthy? I'm not worthy of this, because that's also, I'm not worthy of standing on the stage of Real Talk and sharing my fucking hood rat stories, and like, now they're giving me all this, that koha, they gave me, like, I'm not worthy of this, I'm just me, like, doing, you know. And it's such a weird world to walk in when you come from broken childhoods and people not building you up, and you have been built up properly. You feel like there's bits missing, so you go places you just feel like you shouldn't be there. Like when I was at the budget reading stuff, I'm like, how the fuck? Like, security. It just feels like that all the time. But it does make me like so appreciative. I never take for granted the fucking amazing next level shit I get to do ever, because I feel like with the imposter syndrome, I feel like it's gonna get ripped away at any minute. People are gonna go, nah, I don't know, you shouldn't be here or something. I don't know. It
is a weird one though, eh? Like, and no matter like for me, it's an interesting situation. So I know that I'm loved. Like I know people love me.
Yeah.
And I know that that's what gives me the balls to do a lot of things that I do and walk into places that I walk into and have the kōrero that I have.
Yep.
Like this is only the second time that we've ever met. And we're going full hunting with some deep shit that you don't really talk to with people you meet for the second time.
No.
But I know like a lot of my ability to navigate that space is because I know I'm loved. At the end of the day, if I fucked you off or whatever, we left not mates, I know that I'm still loved in other places. So that gives me the nuts. But then at the same time, there is like a lot of imposter syndrome in other places. Like, you know, at the moment, as a big crack up kōrero that happened the other day with one of my uncles was he brought up that I don't often take the pai enough when we go to marae and things like that, because I'm like, who the fuck am I to be doing that? But he loves it when I do, or because you get put in a situation where you have to sometimes. Like you're the only one out of the bros who can kōrero. Well, you're the only one out of the bros that can kōrero or whatever. So you get trapped into that, and he loves it when I do. And it was like a good half an hour that he was pretty much trying to say to me, bro, you've got permission.
You're worthy.
Yeah, hard. And
that's the same as my moko.
And the whole time I'll be going, I
completely understand.
Nah.
Yeah, I completely understand. So I always knew I was going to get a moko because one of my dad's sisters had it. I knew at a young age I was going to get it. Like my connection to Te Ao Māori, like it wasn't as strong as like Hati as it is now, but I always knew that was going to be my path. Then when I started saying it, once I moved into Wahine Toa Hunting in the new phase of my life and really reconnecting and doing stuff, people were like, you can't just do that, like na. And then I was like, then I really sat on it, sort of, because I do lots of spiritual stuff, kōrero, with my tikete and my tupuna, and just open up and be like, and I knew, like, you are worthy. And the more, actually, if you go back in our history, not just the last fucking 100, you go back, you got it when you got your period. It's a tapu thing and a beautiful thing. But your whakapapa makes you worthy. You don't have to be out here fucking saving all of Māoridom and speaking on every pie and doing every kara. You don't have to do that. You are born worthy. And to say you're not is to recolonialise ourselves. To take this away. Like this, me wearing this taonga every day, it can be a struggle and I will get hit up a bit. Like, oh, no, who can you do that? Can you da-da-da-da-da-da-da? But I'm like, like I said before, we are but our mirrors. So I'm just reflecting onto them, their own inferiority to get their own, because the ones that come up to me, they don't have it. So they're judging me, no, you don't have it, but you are worthy of having it. Like, don't worry about telling me I'm not, just know that you are. You know what I mean? That's decolonising those kōreros, because we are so bad for pulling down each other.
Oh, fuck.
And you know how much Māori there are on the planet? A fucking drop. Then half that drop, and that's Māori woman. And we do that stuff. We fucking tear each other apart, and it's ridiculous. We colonialise ourselves. We need to stop fighting their war for them and come together.
So let's talk about that, the moko, because the moko kauai is in a bit of a renaissance at the moment.
Absolutely.
A lot more people seem to be owning it, and there was like a bit of a narrative that was like, you have to be worthy before you get it.
Yeah, and that comes from what? It comes from colonialisation. They took it away. Then they started writing it in books. Oh, only the Māori princesses, they were the ones that had it. If you go back and fucking do the research, you will see for yourself where this fucking stems from.
I love your colonial voice, by the way.
That's what it sounds like. So I'm going to work for the BBC soon, so I can...
Yeah, you can get your practicing.
But that's where it came from. It came from that. Them saying back then it's dying out of the princesses, shit like that. So when we sit in spaces there and uncles that are like 60 going, you're not worthy, who do you think you are? You still swear like every day. And I'm like, you are worthy, koro, and I suggest you get it before you pass away, because you still don't have yours. And when you get it, you feel it and you feel fulfilled. And any space I walk into, I forget it's there, but it reminds me, because everyone will stare, especially Parker, because I forget it's there, because I'm fulfilled
you
to
can't
myself.
see it.
I can't, So I walk on Parker spaces and I know, especially it being green, and they're just like staring. I'm like, hey, I forget that it's there, but But then it's always like a draw as well. It'll draw people coming up and going, oh my gosh, you know, when did you get that? Blah, 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 blah. And it starts a lot of good conversations as well. It allows me to educate them on my own personal journey. Because I can't talk about anybody else's journey in Māori, just my own.
Yep.
So when they come up, I just talk about it for them. And a lot of them are like, oh, I never knew that, or I never knew that. So it's a good space to educate as well.
So talk to me about the actual process of you having yours done. So you decided that you wanted to do it? What happened next? Who did you talk to? Or?
My brother Tiurerangi. So my brother Tiurerangi runs Aotearoa Kaigavers. So he is one of the main reasons as well that I started Wahine Toa Hunting, because he is very trying to reconnect our people back to the land and get back to the whenua, do marakai, all of that. He's very big in that. And and he's got his. And I was just like, yes, I want to get it. And then a lot of people have big ceremonies when they get it. Not me. I sat on the fence because we shot a movie for Wahine Toa Hunting called Wahine Māori of TVNZ. And I was like, oh, do I get it before or after? And I was like, what am I doing? Just go and fucking get it. You know, we just shot it. And I was like, if I get it now, it's going to mess up all the advertising because I didn't have a movie. Now I've got it. And I was like, oh, fuck that. No, that's not on my 2.0 want. They want me to go and fucking get it now. Go and get it now.
Don't overthink it.
So I said to my bro, can I book it in? And he was like, yeah. And I changed my mind. He's like, oh my God, this is so massive. Because you do feel overwhelmed. It's your face. But then I remember it's also my whakapapa and it's a taonga. And so my daughter went and got her tamoko on her shoulder, telling them. And I was sitting there and I knew it was going to be light. I knew it was going to be light because green is for my kaupapa. It's not in my family. Our koas are not green. Mine's only one green. So my daughter got a moko that's green. And I said to him, green, I want it done green. He goes, what? And I said, my moko, do you do it now? And he's like, you're just going to do it now after her? I was like, yeah, is that right? And he's like, absolutely. He had to do it 3 times because it was so light. Because the reason that it's so light for me is because my kōrero's pretty itty. It's pretty shit like my English. I never want to walk into a space and my moko speaks for me that it's there. I want to wear it. I don't want it to wear me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was always the thing as well. With it being green, I wanted it to. It's for my kaupapa. It's to start my own life for when my kids get theirs. Because my cousins and all my aunties, they have them as well. But I'm on my own separate journey, even though they're my whakapapa.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going with this?
No. I was just asking how it kicked off.
He did it, and he'd do it 3 times because it was so light, and it fucking killed me by the 3rd one because it felt like it was drilling my face. It was just going straight back over it. But when I had got it done, just you feel at one. Like I always knew there was something missing, and it was this. And I urge you, if you whakapapa, if you Māori, go and get it done. It is the most gangsterous thing. Like I can't explain it. You don't realise how kind of naked you are. When I look back at my old photos, how naked my face looks, that's not me. Like this is me, complete me. You'll ask anyone that has one, they'll say like, get it. Even if you just start, I know for men because it's your whole, like almost your whole face, it can be very daunting. But even if you just did your nose and you'll say, fuck, once you get it, it's just a whole spiritual like te wairoa element to it that just is so fulfilling.
Let's talk about te wairoa since we're there. Because you mentioned a couple of times, you know, you sit with yourself, you kōrero to whoever or whatever.
Matakites. Matakites and tuhunga. So my line comes from tuhunga. And so I'm...
Just quickly for people listening that don't know what matakite are.
So matakite and tuhunga. So tuhunga like spiritual... So it's very hard to explain.
It's real hard to whakapaki into.
So basically, matakites and Te Ao Pākehā would be, they are basically, for want of a better word, psychics, but from Te Ao Māori's perspective. And it's so much more deeper than the word psychic, I don't like that. But they are spiritual readers who can kōrero off the other side. Same with tuhunga, and tuhunga have gifts that are just like, they were the superheroes of our people. That's why, whānau, you need to look into the Tuhunga Suppression Act. Look into it. Don't want to say, because shit, they knew they were.
We've talked about that a few episodes before too, whānau, so take this as your 3rd hint.
That's it, so you're just telling you.
To go and have a look, because
that's who I come from, matakite and tuhunga.
Be warned, you will get fucked off, because I get fucked off.
You won't believe it. You'll just be like, what the fuck?
But then you start to understand why they shut it down,
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Māori are like superheroes. Truthfully.
So with your spirituality, how else do you connect? Are you saying that you have matakite and tuhunga?
3 matakite that I kōrero with, that every single time they have given me guidance, that because I I already know what it is to be, you know, what it is. Because my personal stuff, I already, I see things before they happen a little bit. So I already know what's
You don't sound fucking crazy. It's all good.
No, but that's how I do. I do see flashes of my.
Well, you said I don't know how to say this. It was like you were a bit worried that you might sound nutty.
It's hard to word it in a Te Pākehā space. My Māori will already tell me, but I already get flashes of things that are going to happen, so I can kind of see a little bit ahead. That's my warning. But if things aren't matching up, and I sit in some very serious spaces and do some very serious work, if I need guidance, I will go to one of them and say, listen, can you just give me some guidance? And they just kōrero, and it's always on. Like, it's always on. And I would go to them any day, and I always do. That's my grounding.
Do you know what's kind of fucked up? Then I'll share this with you just because it's quite funny. Well, and funny, ironic, not funny, haha.
Yeah.
So I also have people that I speak to about this sort of stuff.
And that's how we did as Māori. That's where it comes from.
And they told me that I was going to be getting into a big conversation about moko kaua in the next couple of days.
Oh, kill me.
So here we are. And that's funny because obviously...
You're meant to get yours.
Obviously I seen you the other night.
Seed, watering it.
Even though I seen you the other night, I kind of didn't click that it would be you.
Yeah.
And then even though we've been trying to catch up for a kōrero, I just didn't click. And then now that we're sitting here and you started talking, I was like, fuck, you're a dumbass, G.
Yeah, but that's usually the same with myself. I get a flash of something, it won't make sense. Like, it'll be just something random on the steps of Parliament, and I'll just be like, what the fuck am I doing there? Like, why am I there? Why am I there? And they'll just give me enough to know that that's coming up in the next bit. So when I talk to the matikiti, like, how do I plan this? And they'll just they won't plan it for me, but they will give me the guidance for me to plan it myself. And then you're like, then it all comes to that point, and you're standing in that minute, and you're like, this is what it was.
It's so obvious in retrospect, eh?
Thing. It's a fucking, I feel, and I know on a deeper level, because I did die for a minute 26 seconds. My spirituality was always very strong. My mum is very, very matikiti. And I come from that line. I know that it's always been there, but since I've gone and come back, it is so much more stronger, and I feel so blessed. And I don't think I would be able to do the level of work that I do now and the energies that I sit in without having to go through that and having these guides. For a fact, if I hadn't died, I don't know how much I would have succeeded in trying to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So what other things can you and I know that that's what we're here for. And I know a lot of our people don't like using the word success because it can be.
How come I feel shame?
Yeah. But when it comes to, you know, the mahi that you're doing and the success that it's had, what are some things that you attribute that to?
Guidance. My tupuna are watching me. My tupuna have put me here for this exact reason. All I'm doing is planting seeds. It's up to the people that I plant seeds to water. That's what I'm doing, just planting seeds. Like, my biggest successes are not fucking medals and fucking TV shows in America and all that shit. That's great. My successes right now. So one of the girls that I took through Wahine Toa Hunting, I won't say her name. So she's amazing. So she came to me, she was like, I've never been in Te Ao Māori spaces. She is Te Ao Māori. I've never appreciated my Māoridom. I've always felt like, you know, not proud to be Māori. I have never been proud to be Māori until I started watching your fellas' videos and the shit you've been doing. I was like, fuck, I want to be part of Wahine Toa. I want to do it. So then she came with us, and she was just the most amazing woman, and she's never sat around strong, big mouth Māori woman that'll just, you know,
strong big mouth.
You know how it is, girl. We just talk at like 10,000 decibels a minute. So when you get passionate, you don't even need that microphone.
Fuck, that's funny.
And it's true, you know, she's never sat in that strength through Māori woman. She's always been in Te Ao spaces where she was made, she is whakaiti, you know.
Yeah.
And she went through us, and then once she left us, she was like, Pans, I need to reconnect to my Māoridom, I need to find out my whakapapa, I need to do all this shit, like you've really, this whole thing has just planted these seeds in me, and I'm just trying to water them. Do you know what she did, bro, after that? What? She went back and looked at her whakapapa, found out that she had land up kind of by Te Aroa, I think it's Te Aroa, and at that exact time, their land, in Pākehā terms, $11 million worth of land was in the land court, Māori land court, it was going to be just sold off because no one was fighting for it, claiming for it. Okay. Also, when because I told her about, read some stuff about Te Kuti and his land, what he's done. So this was before any of this shit. So she had been schooling up on a lot of Te Kuti's laws that he made for us to fight for our laws. I mean, his name is Te Kuti, they're called.
Yeah.
So she had already come with all this armour at the right time with the right whakapapa. She fought for that land and got her $11 million worth of her land back for her iwi, and they've got it today.
Ooh.
Because of that. Like, that for me is the fucking successes. You know, like that for me right there. And it's just, I'm not even doing anything, I'm just planting seeds. Like, just be proud that you're Māori. This is what Māoridom looks like. And it's a beautiful fucking thing. And that, but stories like that, and there's so many. Like, that's why I can't ever stop. Because it's just, and then she'll go on and teach her kids, and she's just reconnected her kids back to their tūranga waiwai. Like, that's success for me. Intergenerational tino rangatiratanga and fighting for our land. Because the thing is, the Crown will never stop fighting for our land. So we need to teach our next generations not to fight, but to be kaitiaki in every space. And be proud of them.
There seems to be a big, and I know I used the word renaissance already when talking about moko kauai, but there's also been a big sea change, they're calling it. I see that's what the media is calling it, in terms of like tangata tiriti relations. So the relations between Māori and Pākehā, obviously there's some shit happening too, but then there seems to be, I mean, if you look at the Māori wards passing, if you look at the separate health authority, if you look at the other things that are kind of going around, it seems that a lot of tangata tiriti or Pākehā, whatever you'd like to call settlers or the descendants of, are meeting us halfway, or they're coming, well, not halfway, that's probably a bit forgiving. They're willing to have the kōrero now. What do you think's changed?
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you. So what I think it is...
You got excited when I started saying this, so you have a theory.
Well, I have a theory. So every, the amount of hate that's happening right now to Māoridom. Empty vessels make the most noise. There is a lot more allies out there for us than they realise. So the ones that split the most hate are going to make the most noise. They're going to be the ones on stuff. They're going to be the ones fucking on the YouTube and shit like that. And the allies, the Pākehā people see us. It's like 5% that are really like that. But that 5% will make their fucking big mouth racist comments all the time, dictated by someone, by Judith. But majority of Kiwis are just Kiwis. Like, we all chill, bro. It's New Zealand. Did we see what happened in level 4? We were like, yeah, fuck it, let's all stay home and get drunk. Everyone, anonymous on that. Let's just chill, stay home. You know what I mean? So they've always been there. Our allies have always been there. They just never got a chance to come to the table like this conversation and this has happened. It just never has happened before. That's the thing. We've always allowed the people like Judith Collins and all those other horrible bastards to have the loudest voice. But they don't represent 95% of the beautiful people in New Zealand that actually are just like, shit, what's wrong with Māoris having a seat at the table if this is their whenua? I don't see it. What's wrong? You know? Yeah.
I do wonder as well, like, because things like, and like, I'm going to be blunt, like, things are so fucked. Do you think that they kind of don't have a choice but to see what we've got to bring to the table
Pretty
now?
much.
There's a little bit of that, right?
Pretty much. Kiwis are very open-minded as well. Majority of Kiwis are just like, does it work? No. Well, let's fix it. What does it look like to fix it? Well, if we bring in a Māori perspective, it will probably help all the pollution and the kaitaki.
We can't get worse, right?
We can't get worse. So let's just all just help together. So that's the thing. I think that I think generally in New Zealand, we don't realise how much we're all in this together because the loudmouth assholes like Lee Williams, whatever his fucking name is, who even cares, go home. Bloody hell. Build a wall just around him. I use Trump's rhetoric for that. But he's the one that we're all gonna focus on. Like, we all think he's like that. It's just that we've never got to have these conversations with Pākehā at this level. We've never in Māoridom got these opportunities to have ward seats, to have all the framework for health and for our children. We've never had it. So we've never actually realised how much people do actually back this for us. And the ones when they say, 70% of people don't want Māoris to have a seat at the table. No, you probably just went to a specific area and asked that people and did the polls like that.
Yeah.
It's my theory.
One thing I've definitely learned in my life is that, like, numbers are fuck all without context. Like, and that's exactly it, right? Like, the context is, where did you get those numbers from?
Exactly.
Who did you speak to?
What area did you go to?
Where did you connect
But it's a very heavy rhetoric to push, because then you can now, the chancellors and the councillors say, oh no, 70% of people don't want this. But, you know what I mean? Like, you can just fuck up the data, just go where you want it to go. You can go wherever you want it to fix.
Well, I found out with doing this Māori ward mahi that a lot of councils, and I mean like, not like councillors, a singular person, council, like the entire entity, they were saying that we consulted with iwi and they don't want a ward. Their consultation was flicking an email.
Those ones, I call them Māori. Yeah, Māori, because you can pick anyone that's from an iwi and say, oh, Ngāti Kahungunu has said this. No, it's Uncle Dickie from down the road that's loading his pockets, because there's a lot of Māori that will silas out down the river. There has been in the older generation, and they will sit on the boards and they will get their pockets lined. So they will go to that Sala Māori and be like, bro, give us the word and give us what we need. But that is not our generation. We're not standing for that anymore. And all the ones that sit on the boards like that they're fading off. It's a beautiful thing to see.
So we've fucking talked about so much shit. It's been good. And I've been stoked because it looked like you weren't expecting to talk about a lot of shit we talked about. So that's good then. I hope this has kind of been nice for you to talk about shit that you
fix my brain.
Usually don't get to talk about. One thing I kind of want to touch on that I've written down here is that there seems to be a big belief from you in the elements and the what do you call it? Like the role that the elements and nature has on us as people.
We are but one element. I
was thinking of a way to say it. That is a fucking mean way to put it.
We are but one element, so we were and are and will forever be the guardians of the bush, of the whenua, of the water, of the wairo, of the maori. We are of this country. That is what makes us us. That is what makes the Aborigines them. They have learnt to stand within their own environment and learn when you can shoot that bird, when you don't, when you light fires, when you don't, how to live in harmony. Not take, not greed. That's not te ao Māori. And so for me, that is what we are. We are but one element, and we are kaitiaki.
We are nature. We're not living in nature.
We're not control. We are not Mother Nature. She controls us. We're not Papatūānuku. We are not Atua. They are. We are just one element of that whole being.
We are. I'm going to remember that. I love that. We are one. We are the element. Before I let you go, there's only one question that I ask everyone that comes on the podcast. Other than that, it's just been free-flowing cordial like we've had.
Yeah.
But the only question that I ask is, bearing in mind you're not a mental health professional or anything, is someone listening right now who is in a bit of a rut, they might be in a bit of a hole, they're feeling kind of the lowest of lows, what would your, I wouldn't say advice, but what would your words be for them to help them in this time?
It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. No one thinks you're a piece of shit. That's your anxiety and your depression telling you that. No one believes that. You don't even believe that. That's why you're tired, because you're fighting it.
Any parting words before I let you rock and roll?
Oh, so much.
Go hard.
No, thank you for having me tonight. I really enjoyed these deeper conversations, and it's been a big privilege to hang out with you tonight, my bro. But yeah, I just see a bright future for New Zealand. As long as we keep people like Lee Williams and Judith Collins where they need to be, which is on a boat, just pushed out with no oars. Goodbye. See you later. Yes, instigating racial hate, apartheid, spinning motherfuckers. As long as we just keep an eye on those kind of people, we're going to be just fine, New Zealand. We're heading in the right direction, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
I mean, it's been awesome having a quarter with you, and I feel like this will not be the last time this happens.
Whānau, let's get drunk and do some shit. Nah, thank you, my bro.
There it is, whānau. I told you it'd be no holds barred. And for those that follow her, you know that you wouldn't expect anything less. Pania Te Paiho featuring on Best Side with this episode 6 for season 3. Chopping it up, having a quarter about everything from dying. That's right. She talked about when she passed away and what that felt like, and she was gone for about 5 minutes or so before they brought her back. Her days of getting up to mischief and now being in a space where she can work with a lot of people to make some massive differences in our world right now. And she's doing that. She's out speaking and putting herself into a lot of positions that she never thought she would be in. And also speaking, quite frankly, as well, about how they're not always comfortable positions. Being on stage, being in Parliament, all these places she thought she would never be, and how she's adjusting to those. Make sure you leave a review for us. As always, whānau, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, all those places where you listen. If you could please leave us a review. It all makes a huge difference. Who are we going to have on next time? Who knows? But make sure you keep it locked in and find us right here, right where you need us. On Best Side, kia ora mai.